Hey friends, thanks once again for tuning into the TCS Digital Connect. We hope you're finding our podcast series useful and informative.
Hi, this is Matt Sudol, and today I will be interviewing Balaji Ganapathy, the global head of corporate social responsibility at Tata Consultancy Services. Very excited to have this conversation today. And when you're out in the field or visiting some of our programs or meeting with some of the beneficiaries or the local nonprofits that we partner with, is there a person or an entrepreneur or student you might have met that really hit home with you and helped you understand how important this work is that we do on a daily basis is?
No, absolutely. So many stories of why we do what we do and why it is important. One of the stories I remember is of Asha Rani Mondal. This is a young girl in the Taki district of West Bengal in India. And a few months back, when you and I and the leadership team of CSR at TCS, we went on a field visit to West Bengal to see the program, our Bridge IT program in action. She was one of the inspirational people that we met. Here is the example of a young woman married into a family of people living in West Bengal, but her background is from outside of the state, so she doesn't know the language. And in a highly patriarchal system where women are not, in her particular case, were not encouraged to work, and she felt suffocated and she felt constrained because she had so much to offer but did not have the avenue to do that. And her husband was such an inspiration for her, encouraging her to go and look out for opportunities and being selected to be part of the Bridge IT program was a huge step for her in her life. And when we met her, she's a successful entrepreneur, not only having mastered the ability to understand how to start her business, but being able to converse and engage her villagers, not knowing the language, to starting a business of her own, which is to support citizenship services, right? Which is basic healthcare, banking, financial inclusion, and other things that the village needs, right? And I still remember that confidence that she had when she narrated her story and shared her success, and how her husband and then eventually her family changed their social norms and their biases and allowed her to succeed and reveled in her success. And this is just one example of hundreds of thousands of people that TCS is impacting on a daily basis.
Yeah, that was an amazing trip. And I just remember thinking of the ripple effect that one life has on their families, their community, and the country in general. And us being involved in that is so fulfilling and amazing. Switching gears to the topic of not even the day, but the last few months, talking about the pandemic. And I just how have you seen us or the CSR programs and even our clients and company adjusting to make sure that we're helping and we're adding value across the board?
I think it is a very difficult time, right? We are in the midst of a pandemic. We are not even post COVID, right? We are still in a during COVID kind of a world. And it is important to understand that the magnitude of the challenge that we are facing is something that we as a society have not faced for over 100 years, right? So I don't think any system is prepared to address the needs that have emerged. But recognizing the magnitude of the need, the magnitude of the response also has to be proportional, and which is where I'm so proud about what the Tata Group and the Tata Trust have done. And along with TCS and other companies, we pledged immediately $200 million or about 1,500 crores worth of investments in addressing the needs across a multitude of areas, right? Whether it is to do with infrastructure in terms of setting up hospitals and beds and quarantine centers, to procuring material like ventilators and personal protective equipment and so on and so forth, to looking at addressing the basic needs like food security, access to healthcare among the challenged and the most vulnerable portions of the community, which is the elders, the rural villagers, as well as the migrant workers, right? And TCS has played a huge role in this, and that is something that I think exemplifies the ethos of the Tata Group. In fact, I was pleasantly surprised to find out that this effort, this cross company effort that the group has mounted, is one of the top 4 or 5 efforts in the world across foundations and companies in response to COVID, right? Now, equally important is not just to focus on the needs that have emerged, but also on ongoing needs, right? Like access to education. Once you take care of access to healthcare and food security, access to education becomes the most important thing to look at, because the new jobs and new work that emerges after COVID passes is not going to look the same as before. So many millions of people are becoming unemployed, underemployed, and it is so equally important for us to continue to focus on that. So, one thing I'm very proud of from a TCS perspective is that we were able to pivot to a virtual model almost on a dime, right? Overnight, within the 2 3 days of the pandemic becoming really prevalent in March, we were able to shift all of our programs into a virtual model, right? And now we are on the path of introducing digital experiences that create a similar outcome as the in-person experiences that we were doing earlier. Yes, we have to acknowledge that the digital divide exists. Not everybody has access to the internet. Not everybody has access to networks and mobile phones or tablets and other means. But you'll be surprised to see that the effectiveness and the engagement with the limited options that are available has been through the roof. And we have covered more people during this time than we normally do in our programs, and we continue to increase those efforts, right? Whether it is to support education within the school system, whether it is to support entrepreneurs, whether it is to support older people to get access to much needed support from the government. These efforts are ongoing and will continue.
Thinking about the students to close this out, what would be a closing message to them? I know we talked about things they can potentially do in their daily lives, and obviously we all have a role with COVID-19 and how we can all respond in our families, let alone in our communities at large. But what would your closing message be to students at this moment in time?
I think find your purpose, right? You found your voice. As a young generation, you have really lent your voice to really shape and change how countries and the world is behaving and what it considers as important. Find your purpose. And in order to enable that, TCS is introducing #MyPurpose as a campaign to help you identify what are the paths, what are the ways in which you can engage with the local community where you live and work or in other places to fulfill your purpose, right? And I think if you are able to serve one other person other than your own immediate relatives and your family during these times, and if you're able to give them the hope, if you're able to give them a chance to learn during this time, be a part of the programs that TCS has and help people in need during this time. Find your purpose and live your purpose.
100% agree with you. Thank you, Balaji. Thank you for this time, and thank you to everyone who's listening, and more to come for sure. Check out tcsempowers.com and just stay engaged, everybody. This is a great moment in time to step up and step out and be a doer. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, friends, for tuning into the TCS Digital Connect. Eager for the next episode? Well, stay safe and stay connected at Campus Commune for more.